It's June. What is this? Use Discord from overlay. Well, all right, weird. Um, Sorry, new OBS settings or something. Today is June 10th, 2025, at 4:59 p.m. Um, yeah, things are getting worse. I found out today that because of an oversight on my part, I have cost the observatory $1,500. Um, we've got it, but just barely. Um, Basically, I didn't approve payroll fast enough, which I had been warned about, but I neglected to actually um, keep up with. Effectively, I would get emails. In the past, I would get emails, or at least I felt like I got emails that said, "Hey, approve this," and then I would approve it. But generally, they're on weekends, and my ability to keep up with email on weekends is pretty shit. So now I will have to um, put in active reminders so that this never happens again. Um, I'm embarrassed. I'm mainly irritated because I'm sure my deputy director is not pleased with me at the moment, and that means a lot to me. So uh, there is that. I'm at the office. I managed to get myself up and come here, but I don't know how long I'll stay. I don't know how productive I'll be while I'm here. Um, because I feel worse. I feel more tired. I feel more dejected, more alone, and um, more hopeless. So, not not having any idea of what any of this is for. Um, Certainly, at the moment, don't enjoy it. I think the only reason why I did come in was because of the solar project is new enough that I'm interested in. I'm still interested in seeing where that goes. But um, yeah, I am unhappy. New sh- uh, Shock. Breaking news, as it were. Um, yeah, it's hot now. I fucking hate being hot. I hate sweating. I hate summer. Basically, it's my worst. It's the worst fucking season. I used to love winters, but now that I'm this far north, winters are actually winters where the sun is gone for a good majority of the day, and so now I think I'm starting to suffer from SAD um, on top of everything else. But I just cannot stand the feeling of being hot and sweaty, and particularly, I believe I haven't confirmed this, but I believe it's my skin medication that makes me sweat more. Definitely makes me asymmetrically sweat, which is even weirder. I sweat more on my right side, on my right chest, than my left. It's weird. But I was in a team meeting today, and I was looking at myself, and I was like, and it was weird because I hated what I looked like. I thought I looked fucking ugly. But it was weird because I thought I was too skinny. Particularly my arms were too skinny. There was a period of time where I was actually working my arms pretty well, and they were actually fairly sizable, or at least definitely compared to me in my history. But those have basically gone away, and so I just kind of feel like I did when I was in my 20s, I guess, where it was basically just a stick figure with a basketball stomach. Um, I don't know. I can't accept how I look, and and I don't have the energy to fix it. I don't have the energy to change in any meaningful way. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. I'm kind of stuck. I missed last week's appointment because of misunderstanding, switching over carriers. So I saw a notification that my therapy appointment was canceled, but I hadn't realized that was on the old carrier, not the new one. And then I didn't get the therapist message asking, "Hey, are you going to be here?" until well after the thing, and that cost me some amount of money. Not entirely certain, at least $85. So yet again, just wasting money, which I don't have. And I don't know. There's just so many things that I need to do that I don't have the energy to take care of, or caring to take care of. I mean, either I'll get better or I'll be dead. Track record is I'll get better enough that. But really wish it would not. I really wish it would. I really wish it would not be this way. I really wish it would end in one way or another. I'm One thing I was thinking about on the way here is one of the one of the key. There's a similarity between Christianity, as I understand it, and um, mental health therapy. Is sort of this concept of surrender, this concept that, from a mental health perspective, I think I've talked about this before, is that you have to, more acceptance than anything else, is that the world is the way it is, and that you have to accept it for what it is, and that you cannot, particularly when there really is no way to change it or any substantive way to change it. You just have to sit in the discomfort. You just have to accept that, we live under the current administration. There is evil in the world, that I have a disease that I am having great difficulty with managing. Mainly, I should need, or would like to accept that I have a like to accept that I have a disease, not accept that I cannot mitigate it well, mitigate the symptoms well. But in a way, it's sort of surrendering, or I don't know, it rings like it rings similarly to this concept of surrender in Christianity, where one needs to surrender oneself to God. One needs to surrender one's problems over to God. Realize that we cannot change everything. We cannot control everything. That some things are beyond our power and must be within the purview or power of God. And it's extremely difficult to do because of ego. It's one of the reasons why I am so afraid of death, is the possibility that I will cease to exist, that my ego will be gone. The idea, as strange as it sounds, the idea that I will no longer exist, as shitty of a person as I am, as disgusted I am with myself as a person, the notion that that person would not exist is terrifying. And it's because of ego. It's because of the sense that I have importance and I need to be heard, that I am of worth, that I am that people need to respect and listen to me, which I'm finding to be more and more problematic in that, again, I keep going back to the flat earth space. And more to the point of why I am in that space as opposed to, I'm on a couple of Discords where, a couple of friends Discords and a couple of, astrophotography Discords, that sort of thing. And I ask myself, why do I not spend more time in those? Or my own Discord, why do I not spend more time in my Discord? Why do I seek out Discords that have some kind of conflict, some kind of tribalism, us versus them? And there probably is more to it than that, but a good fraction of it is ego, is that I want to prove myself, I guess, to others. I want others to listen to me. I want others to respect what I have to say. And so being that I am something of an expert in that field, I, at least within some popular portion of the population, I have the respect of of peers in that regard, which is not something I've really ever found professionally. And in a way, conflict is good. I guess we strive on conflict, or at least I've heard that myself. I don't know if that's true or not. But it definitely gives me the opportunity to feel not superior, feel like I have authority, feel like I know something that others don't, I guess. And it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling to have that, to be respected in that field, or respected by others. But ultimately, is it useful? Is it good? Am I doing any good within those servers? I mean, am I changing anybody's mind? Am I making someone else's life more meaningful, or at least less stressful? Am I allowing others to be seen? I don't know. I don't know. It very possibly could happen. I have serious reservations as to whether or not that's actually happening, but maybe. All I know is that within the last the server that I was really hanging out with, and the server that was very much supportive of my mental health, it got toxic. There are people in it that I really reacted badly to, and I ultimately had to leave because there was just some shit there that I could no longer tolerate. But again, that's about me. I mean, I cloak it in principles because these people were, at least two of them were very bigoted individuals and spreading a whole lot of bullshit. The other one I think is a bully and I just don't like. He's also bigoted, but in a different sort of way. He's bigoted against anyone who believes in God or a divine presence, which is, that sort of bigotry is far more socially acceptable than any other type of bigotry for reasons. And obviously, there's the choice involved. When you think about other forms of bigotry, racial, or ethnic, or sexual orientation, gender, that sort of thing. In those regards, you don't have a choice to who you are. One, I could argue that I don't have the choice to be person of faith. I just am. That's something that is intrinsic to who I am, is someone of faith. I don't know. I don't think I could get anyone else to understand that, but at least not anyone that doesn't have faith. No, get me wrong. I mean, there are people of faith who are, in my opinion, perpetuating evil. They're perpetuating suffering. They're perpetuating anger, fear. Christian nationalists, for example. I can understand why people don't like them. I can understand why people hate them. And I can understand why people would be bigoted towards them, or at least towards their belief systems. Whether that is that something that is, and that leads to another conversation of whether or not that's justified. Is bigotry ever justified? Even if it's bigotry against an ideology. Because ultimately, say someone identifies as a Nazi. We don't know. I mean, we have this assumption of what that is. And so, but typically if someone identifies as a Nazi, they're going to be treated like shit regardless. It's not based on an action. It's based on the idea that they are, in fact, something we don't like. It's not based on the character of the person. Or definitely not based on their actions, because at this point, if they just simply identify as a Nazi, you don't know what their actions are. But even still, one of the things I learned in therapy is that it is inappropriate to say someone is a moron. They could be acting like a moron. The difference is, if someone is acting like a moron, then that's a behavioral choice, or that's a behavior. Whereas if you claim that they are a moron, you are identifying them as something, and that is inappropriate. When I say that I'm an asshole, it's not appropriate. It's certainly not adaptive. It's not productive. I may be acting like an asshole, but I'm not, but that's not who I am. That's not an identity. So when someone identifies as a Nazi and we just simply rail against them because of who they are, is that not bigotry? Now, granted, if they do things that are, they state opinions that are hateful, then is it appropriate to condemn them or condemn their statements? I would think that it's better to condemn the statements than it is to condemn the person. Obviously, that's extremely hard to do, particularly if you are the subject of that hate. But I'm just trying to find the appropriate moral response. The response that will lead to less anger, to less suffering, sorrow, that sort of thing. I don't know. I just know that my life feels meaningless at this point. See? I didn't say it was meaningless. I said it felt meaningless. At least I'm at that point where I still am able to apply that coping mechanism, as it were. To acknowledge that I still have some kind of worth or meaning intrinsically. That right now what I'm feeling is simply that, just something that I'm feeling. It's not something that is describes describes my being in any way whatsoever. But it's that line between feeling as if my life is meaningless and feeling as if I'm meaningless. That line is very, very narrow, very, very thin. And if I continue to feel this way, if I continue to feel this way, it's bound to get worse. And then I will more than likely step over that line. It's one of the indicators that I'm going down to a darker place, that that things are going to get worse before they get better. Not there yet, but I don't know what to do about this. I don't know. I don't have good modes of transportation, particularly not inexpensive modes, particularly not modes of transportation that are that don't cost anything. I just feel like I need to get away. One of the things that one of the coping mechanisms that I had was to just drive for hours. And I don't think I could do that with, I use Zipcars, which are pretty, for what they are, is expensive. Certainly is an extravagance for me, particularly if I have no use for it. But there's a 100-mile limit on it. I don't know what happens if you drive longer for farther than 100 miles, but there's a 100-mile limit on it. And so if I want to just drive, then that's something that I have to be aware of. That, and I'm thinking like I have to rent the car for 3 hours at least if I'm going to get any kind of therapeutic value out of it. But really, ultimately, I just want to get away. I just want to leave town for a while. But I don't know where to go. I don't know where to go. And again, that's going to cost money. Because wherever I go, I'm alone. Wherever I go, I have the same fucking issues. But I would be more active. I would be out of the house. It would be something new. I would be active, not sedentary, as it were. Granted, sitting in a car for a while is sedentary, but I don't know. I guess I could go down to Georgia, but I don't. More like I've been there, done that. I guess. I don't know. It's also a ways away, and I've seen it. If I'm going to drive 10 hours, I really would like to be somewhere I've never been before, like go north. I plotted it out. If I wanted to go to Maine, it's basically 10 hours. Depending. If I didn't want to pay tolls and be a little more scenic, then it would be more like 14. Because I'd go through middle of the state, New York. And ultimately that would be where I wanted to go. Because I don't want to drive through Newark. I don't want to drive through DC, or not DC, New York City. Wouldn't mind seeing Boston. But again, no reason to actually go there. I don't know. I am at a loss. Oh. So, yeah, surrender. It occurred to me that, and this has been something that's been on my mind basically since I came into the YouTube space. is that one thing I have noticed is that if you want to, one surefire way of gaining popularity is by being antagonistic, or in one form or not. Like debunking by its nature is antagonistic. You are telling someone that they are wrong in one way or another. And typically, the more, I mean, McKeegan, it's weird because McKeegan and Simon and Dan are very popular. They are probably the two most popular debunkers that I know of because their channels are over 100K at this point. I don't know of any other debunker that science debunker that's at that level. Usually you're in the tens of K, like 50K, something like that. Seems as if you get to a point where you top out. If you are one of these that is sheerly for there to make fun of people and to, antagonize people. But I'm curious whether or not that actually goes down to interpersonal relationships, particularly on the internet, when you're not actively involved with something, you're just talking, is how bitching about people makes you interesting. Insulting other people seems to make people engaged, particularly if you can do it in a funny sort of way. I know that I'm not funny unless I'm doing something similar in that way. I don't know, maybe this is projection. Maybe I just don't find conversations really all that interesting anymore that aren't drama filled, of one person bitching about someone else. If I were going to an astrophotography, I would no longer have the authority that I have because I'm not very good at astrophotography. And I'm not so interested in the subject as to engage with people about it, particularly because I would judge myself against them. It's probably one of the reasons. I mean, I guess I could find D&D servers or something like that, but I don't play D&D anymore. I don't really have too many interests outside of work and YouTube and so forth. And even that is again, depending on my mood, it fluctuates quite a bit. I don't know. It's just go out, be involved in somebody's life beyond just the superficial text. It goes to connectedness, which I very rarely ever found. I don't know if it's common to feel it. I don't know if this is a me thing, if it's a disease thing, or if it's just, human nature. Once you get to a certain age, you just don't connect it with people anymore. I would say that maybe I'm getting into part of the male loneliness epidemic, but I felt this way almost in my entire life. But I know that my current lifestyle is certainly exacerbating it because I don't have any physical or very, very few physical avenues of social stimulation, of feeling connected, of feeling with someone as if I'm with someone, that I'm part of someone's life. Christ was a servant, first and foremost. He was there to serve the people. He was never there to serve himself. He never got anything out of the things that he did. It was always to give. Now, obviously, he's divine and he's perfect. And it's not possible to live as he did. But one can. I mean, obviously, the point is to try. the temptation of Christ. The devil was basically offering him the world as Christ's kingdom, and he refused it because, again, that's ego. It's putting himself over the concerns of other people. And when I think about, feelings of inadequacy, feelings of, well, no, if I, feel like, again, with the Discord thing is, why am I doing this? Am I doing this to serve, or am I doing this to feel better about myself? Is it inappropriate for me to use this as an avenue to feel better about myself? Obviously, feeling better about myself is appropriate. I think that's healthy. But how does one go about actually doing that? How does one go about doing that such that one can live Christ-like, but one can feel good about themselves, but also serve others and to make them feel good about themselves? Because that's important, I think. I feel. Because if we all feel good about ourselves, then we will be less inclined to do evil upon our brothers and sisters, our brethren. We will feel less inclined to do evil upon our brethren. I don't. I don't have the energy. I feel like I need to do something instead of sitting in front of a monitor. It's too fucking hot to walk around. Um, it's it's too fucking hot to walk around. Um, and go downtown, go to the mall, go to the Washington Mall, go to the museums, but it's not really sparking my interest because, again, been there, done that. I want to do something new. I want something that, provokes excitement or mystery or exploration. I love to explore places. I don't do that anymore. Pick a direction and keep going and see what you see. I I don't know. And I don't like doing it locally. I like going at some distance, exploring new places. At one point, I was thinking about doing um, urban spelunking. I can't remember what it's called. Basically, when you start going to abandoned buildings and all that sort of shit. Um, I'd like to take up geocaching again, but again, that requires a vehicle, which I don't have. Um, I don't know. But I don't want to be sitting in front of a screen. I don't want to go to the movies. Um, I don't want to sit here and play video games. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure that people would offer me all kinds of suggestions, but yeah, a lot of it is it needs to resonate, and it needs to resonate to the point that I feel as if I will expend energy to do it, and that's the well, that is the crux of it. Is or not crux. Story of my life. Trying to find the energy. doing a cost benefit analysis to see whether or not I have the energy to do what I need to do. Thought about going to a coffee shop and putzing around there. Journaling or some such thing. Maybe going to a bookstore and doing it there. Who knows? I don't know. All right. I think I'm going to sign off here. All right. Peace out. Until next time.